Welcome to yet another episode of Beyond the Present podcast. I'm Daniel Molgan, and today we'll be talking about being solution-oriented, not problem-oriented. Now, if you're like most people, you probably heard about that major IT outage that we've experienced. And this was like probably the biggest of its kind in the history of IT as we know it and the history of the internet. And basically what happened was on Friday, July 19th, pretty much all the airports around the world shut down. They had no access to their computers. Things were really tough. Flights got grounded and canceled and delayed. It was crazy. And this wasn't just about the transportation. This applied to, various businesses, healthcare institutions, and so on. It was a crazy time. And you know what? What I noticed during that period was a series of negative comments that were just attacking social media from all around the world. And people around me were all very pissed off and angry, shouting and screaming at, poor flight attendants and people who were working at the airport as if it was their fault or their, problem. Well, I think when we experience such tough moments, these moments of crises, the first tendency that we have is to blame somebody. Like, who was in charge? Who was responsible for this? I'm gonna find that guy or that gal. I'm gonna bring him down. Well, the fact of the matter is that in life, you can't always look for someone to blame when you're facing with problems and crises. Sometimes it's really nobody's fault. And if it is somebody's fault, you might not even have access to that person, right? I mean, no one's going to be able to contact the CEO of the company that was responsible for this. But we can just lash out at the poor flight attendant or the guy working at the airport or the person working at the hospital and so on, or the guy behind the counter. Guys, when you're facing with crises in life, with any problem, you can either have a problem-oriented mindset or you can have a solution-oriented mindset. Let me distinguish the two a little bit for you to understand. You see, to be a problem-oriented person means to spend most of your time thinking about the problem. What's wrong? What's the problem? What's the issue here? Why does this happen? Who's responsible? This is so bad. Why now? Why me? This is so terrible. So you see, your mind is focused on that specific problem. And the problem with being a problem-oriented person is this. When you focus your attention on the problem, all you get are the negative emotions that come with thinking about the problem. And at the same time, you deprive yourself of the opportunity or the chance to do something about it, which is why once you shift to the next paradigm of thinking, which is being a solution-oriented person, things start changing a lot. Now, what does it mean to be solution-oriented? It means that you do not spend a lot of time thinking about the problem. You will understand, okay, what's the problem here? You just get the problem. All right, so for example, all the flights got canceled and we're now grounded. Okay, that's the problem. But instead of trying to blame somebody, getting angry, getting sad, getting upset, trying to lash out at the other people around you, you ask yourself, what's the situation here? Okay, we are stuck at the airport and all flights got canceled. Now, what's the solution here? So now your mind starts focusing on finding any possible solution. This method of thinking actually is a lot more effective because when you're focused only on the problems, there's not much you can do other than, feel pissed off. Because when you focus on the problem, all you see and hear and think about is the darn problem. On the other hand, when you shift your focus and you think about the solution, things start changing drastically. Why? Because when you're solution-oriented, your mind is focused on only one thing. What can we do now? All right, this happened. I don't know why it happened. Was it luck? Was it chances? Was it destiny? Was it the alignment of the stars or pure bad luck or whatever? I don't care who's, responsible for this. I don't care who's to blame. What can we do about this? And guys, the reason we spend a lot of our time trying to blame other people, about our problems is this. It's so much darn easier. It takes no creativity, no analytical thinking, no proactive effort on your part to start blaming someone, getting angry, getting sad, getting hopeless, and just wishing that you were a little bit luckier. If I had come to the airport not on July 19th, but on July 18th, or perhaps July 20th, this would have never happened. That's ineffective thinking because, again, you're focused on the problem. and hoping the problem would have never occurred in the first place. But unfortunately, the people who think this way, the people who want to avoid having these problems and hope and wish that luck just keeps them away from all these problems, are sooner or later going to face with problems that no one can escape. And at that time, it's going to be a little bit too late to be able to solve the problem, because you haven't developed the skill, the mental habits of being a problem solver. Instead, you've been just always trying to escape from problems and hoping that luck will take care of it. And that's a very ineffective way to live, to think, and to, conduct your life and business. So for that reason, from today, tell yourself, I don't care why a problem occurs. My concern is, how can I solve it? And more importantly, how can I prevent it from happening in the future, or at least reduce the likelihood of it occurring? Because that then allows you to think very differently. When you think about the solution, your concern is far less about why it happened to you. Are you lucky or unlucky? Is this all just bad luck? That is all about some metaphysical stuff that has happened here? I mean, this is a very ineffective way of thinking. You say, okay, this has happened. What do we do now? And here's the fun part. When you think in this manner, when you're solution-oriented, you realize it's actually almost difficult to feel upset or sad or, hurt, because your mind is designed to solve problems. Don't look at your lives nowadays, which are super easy compared to what we had in the past. If you look at our, evolutionary history, we had a very brutish life in the past. But now, in the modern world, our problems are mostly solved. We don't have to chase our next meal or worry whether or not we're going to be bitten by some snake or something when we are actually sleeping at night. Things have changed a lot, but we still got those problems. And once you understand that we are designed to solve problems, you will feel a lot better when these things happen. Then you realize that you're not even supposed to be worried or concerned or upset. Things happen. Bad stuff happen. It's okay. It's totally normal. What you got to do, you got to focus your attention on solving that problem. So how do we, build up this skill? From now on, tell yourself, whenever I face with any problem, challenge, or obstacle, I will dedicate less than 10% of my time on the problem and more than 90% on the solution. Again, you don't want to totally ignore the problem, because you have to know what the problem is. If you want to solve a problem, you should know what the problem is. So you don't want to just I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Don't tell me about this. I don't care why we're landed or grounded. You have to, study the problem. Okay, what's the problem? That's the thing. Okay. And then you dedicate most of your time on finding a solution. Because when you're solution-oriented, your mind is in the right place. You do not experience a lot of negativity. You're not feeling hopeless or helpless or upset. You know that at some point you will find a solution. And then your mind gets creative. So your mind cannot simultaneously be actively involved and engaged in finding a solution to a problem and being upset or hurt that problem exists. You see, if you're busy trying to resolve an issue, you will not have the time or the mental bandwidth to be upset about that issue. And that's the key to dealing with all crises in life. Because whenever you find yourself in the middle of a crisis, your natural tendency is to feel upset, to experience negative emotions, to feel very down and hurt, like, oh my gosh, why did this happen? Why to me? Why now? It's not fair. And all of that mental bandwidth could be wasted for days on end, sometimes even longer, because of one little problem that you experienced. On the other hand, when you shift your focus on the solution, you just can't think about all those sad and angry thoughts, because your mind is now engaged with finding a solution. So next time, whenever you find yourself in any moment of crisis, remind yourself that I'm supposed to get analytical, not get sad or upset. I should get analytical and I should solve this problem. How do we solve this problem? How can we reduce the damage done? How can we make it a little bit better? How do we alleviate the costs or the problems associated? Just how do we get this thing done? Once you focus on that, believe me, your emotional state begins to change instantly, and you will find yourself in a far better mental space that can allow you to solve the problems and to become more resilient. You see, that's how resilience is developed in all of us. We develop resilience by not avoiding problems or wishing they would have never happened in the first place. We develop resilience by facing those problems and then solving them without constantly nagging about it. That's how mental strength, that's how resilience, and ultimately a good character is built. You see, if you want to build character, you can't do so by always being in happy stages of your life where everything is perfect and it's all going according to plan. You just can't build character this way. Character instead is mostly built as a result of effectively dealing with all those issues and problems you face within life, learning from the mistakes, facing with those issues, solving those problems, moving on, and realizing that, oh yeah, I actually could do a lot of things if I really wanted. And this allows you to improve your mental state. It allows you to become a better person. And more importantly, you won't be like most people out there screaming at, innocent people as to why their flight got canceled or what is going on here or what is happening to them and so on, because those people simply cannot live productive lives. They cannot live happy lives with that problem-oriented mindset. So from now on, tell yourself, no matter what crisis I face with, no matter what problems I face with, I am ready to solve those problems. Become a solution-oriented person, and then you will see that almost every problem you face with is actually a lot easier than you think. Because most of that, dreaded feeling that you have about these problems is because you don't want to face them. But once you face them, it just disappears. All that fear and anxiety disappears. And you realize, actually, it's not such a bad deal. I can handle this. And with this mindset, there's nothing in this world that you cannot achieve. All right, guys, that's all the time we had for. Hopefully, guys are going to be able to somehow use this, lesson to make better decisions and face with your problems more effectively from now on. My name is Daniel Molgan, and this was Beyond the Present Podcast. Have a good one.